Body shot, oh, that hurt, didn't it?
When the adrenaline starts pumping and you know what you can do with this right hand, it's hard to not do that.
Here are your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
What's going on, folks? Welcome back to another episode of the Bloody Water Podcast. UFC Perez definitely delivered. In Bon Gamin, he has established himself. He's truly the number one contender. I mean, we might be seeing the Max Holloway heavyweight version, right? We got Max Holloway, we got Robert Whittaker, we got Ciryl Gane. These dudes are number one contenders who are going to be cleaning out everybody who they put in front of them until they get another title shot. Or at least it appears that way so far. Listen, folks, let me bring in my co-host, the New Mexico native, the Santa Fe bomber himself, to talk the fights, brother. My man, we said this thing was going to deliver. We said, hey, casual folks, I know there's a lot of names you don't really know yet, but hey, just watch out. Saint Denis, look at your sleeper. Quinones, right, coming with that knockout, that precise right hand, brother. We had Abu Magomed, toe in the mouth of Dustin Stoltzfus, the one-shot Anderson Silva-esque KO. Brother, it was amazing. AJ, talk to me. How did you like the fights, man? What were you feeling in there when they was chanting the Paris or the France national anthem? You know what I mean? The crowd was going wild. Talk to me, brother.
Man, they're a great night of fights and a great main card, but even better, a great prelim card, man. Some crazy shit going on for the folks. We always tell you got to watch the prelim card because there's some wild shit that goes on. It's an amazing, it was an amazing night, man. Like you said, the crowd showed up, Paris showed up. And for what could have been an unknown card of, it was a fight night card nonetheless, it delivered on all aspects, man. And some great fights in between.
It did. Now let me play the other side of the card because I got to be transparent here, right? We were just talking off air and I was just saying, as much as the card definitely delivered, like there were some fights that had fantastic moments that made the card overall memorable, but there were some in-between spots where I was like, yeah, this is a fight night, you know what I mean? And I think in part that was due to the crowd, and hear me out. So, in good old America, right? Especially Vegas, specifically Vegas, you have a fight, it's a little boring, and you immediately hear the woo, you feel me? People, they're breaking it out. The crowd is really encouraging. Let's get some action going. It felt like in France or in Paris, either way, some of the people in the crowd were trying to get the woos going, but nobody else partook. So they couldn't get it. It was a very polite crowd, I guess you could say, to a degree. They were doing their boos and stuff like that, but it felt to me, aside from the big massive moments, it felt a little reminiscent to like an Asian crowd. The Asian crowds are a little more tame, a little more soft-spoken. So either way, I definitely got to put that out there. Felt like a fight night, but this was history, man. This was France, and you got to love that main event. Ciryl Gane, Tai Tuivasa. Not only was it a barn burner, but bro, there was multiple times they were like smiling at each other, like, bro, this is crazy. Like, look at this. Yeah, all right, here we go. Now, AJ, let me ask you this, man. Do we get the same fight feel? Do we get the same effect, results from this fight had it been in a quiet, solo, tiny crowd Apex venue? What do you think?
I think so because I don't really think as much as the crowd did add a little bit of stuff to them, I felt like that sportsmanship was just between the fighters, and there was a lot of times where they were, one of the gun gets kicked close to the cup, they're like, oh, talking, all right, good, joking back and forth. So I do think we get somewhere near that thing, especially because, like you were saying, Derick, the crowd was a little more tame. Yeah. So maybe, we've been able to hear a little bit of what they were actually saying and chirping if it was in the quiet octagon, reminiscent of COVID times.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. So with that being said, brother, we'll talk about a couple of prop fights, all that good stuff. We'll do some, prop bet recaps, money line recap, all in one second. I did want to just bring up a couple of pictures that I wanted to show from the prelims, old school photo collection days, right? We're bringing it back for a segment real quick. And this is the reason why I'm bringing this up, AJ. We've talked about our handful of memorable photos. Actually, at the end of the year, just like we did last year, I have a whole collection of some of the best photos on the year, and we're going to vote what's the nastiest, what's the gnarliest, what's the best one, right? But I want to talk about disrespect right now, all right, AJ, because there's a couple of pictures where you don't want another grown man to be doing something ridiculous to you, especially when you're fighting for your life inside of a locked cage, right? Ideally, that's not what you want to have happen. And you can't put any disrespect on. This is the disclaimer going into it. No disrespect intended on any of this, but it's public, you know what I mean? Right there, you put yourself out there, and this is kind of what happens, so we're here to judge, unfortunately. So, AJ, man, I'm going to give you two choices. Your first choice is you get a wide open, you're in the middle of the cage, locked down in the middle, not anywhere near the actual cage, right? So your prospects of actually getting back to your feet are not looking good. You got a savage Dagestani wrestler on top of you, and in front of everybody, he gives you the good old oil check, right? And it's there on camera, right? Right for everyone, thumb deep, knuckle deep, you know what I'm saying? Or you get a foot to the face and the man's toe gets inside of your mouth, man. You're eating some toe. And then the follow-up shot after that basically puts you into TKO land, brother. So talk to me. You get the wide open public oil check, or you get the toe to the mouth, toe inside the mouth. Which one do you take?
I'm eating a toe for dinner, Derick, all day long, brother. I'll eat that toe many a time over before, and take the nap after, better than the public oil check, because that's never a fun feeling nor a pleasant surprise for anybody, man.
Never.
What about you?
Yeah, I think I got to take this one too as well, man. The oil check is a little extreme, but I don't think that this is fun either, man. Listen, Abu Magomedov versus Dustin Stoltzfus. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm even stumbling on them. I'm like looking at the names. I don't know why I'm stumbling on them. But the point here, man. Listen, this is talk about a perfect debut. Talk about precision. Talk about saying I had a year of visa issues and I'm taking them all out on you, man. I felt like this was very Anderson Silva-esque, but now, because it's 2022 and we've seen it so many times, and we just saw, Michael Chandler punt Tony Ferguson's head into the crowd, it's not as impressive. I thought this was fantastic. I thought that this is like one of the knockouts of the year. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And maybe it is because we're getting more and more acclimated to watching people get kicked in the face for that front. Because there was even when Machida did it a long time ago too. Everybody kind of forgot about that now. Not as impressive, because there's been so many others that have been even more so impressive. And this one, I agree. This is one of the ones, and you can see the precision to actually hit somebody in the chin, push his chin back, and get your toe in his mouth. Pretty damn impressive.
Imagine each toe bit off in the middle and knocking a dude out. It's just not a good look, man. So first off, that was just your little warm up. That was your little tease in there. That was just kind of like it hurts the ego, right? This next one, man, talk about winning at any cost. Talk about being a savage, fighting in front of your people, and then looking down John Jones-esque and be like, damn, what the hell happened to my toe, right? This right here, man. I know it looks like a movie prop, and this is NSFW, I guess, folks. So you know what I mean? Like, look away if that's not what you're into. But this is a picture of a man's toe. It looks like a movie set, looks like a movie prop. It looks like someone literally just poured like a packet of ketchup next to the man's toe. This is Benoit Saint Denis. This is after he finished his fight, man, with Gabriel Miranda Gabriel, or whichever one, man.
Gabriel Miranda.
Yeah, this dude's toe was gnarly, bro. Do you keep fighting when your toe is looking like that, man?
Hell yeah, you do, man. You probably don't even notice with all the adrenaline going on, because what's crazy though is you can see they put the Band-Aid over it, and that thing is still going through, seeping through the entire Band-Aid, man. Okay. This is a wild one.
So that's what that was. I was gonna ask you. I was like, let's play armchair doctor. Like, what the fuck is that on his toe, bro? But that's a Band-Aid. Okay, now that makes a lot more sense, right? Yeah, that's nasty, man. I wonder what kind of gash that you got going on over there. All right, folks, that was just your little wake up call, your little welcome call here. For the Bloody Water Podcast. We couldn't be the Bloody Water Podcast and we had a little bloody. You know what I'm saying? Got to have the blood. So, all right, folks, look at the scoreboard. Things have gotten a lot tighter since last week, man. 107.61 for me, 106.62 for my man AJ. And with that being said, brother, let's talk about the bet recaps. Let's get it, my man. So, AJ, what a week. You won on every aspect there is to win. Moneyline 4-2, prop bets 2-4, and over and under 4-2. So it was definitely a good week for you. Now, my question to you, my man, that Whittaker and Vettori, right? That was kind of our main contentious pick. After you saw the first round of that fight go, were you like, oh, this was the easiest pick ever? Because I felt like this is going to go one or two ways. I said either Vettori comes up, he storms up, and I'm going to be a genius and I'm going to get the underdog play, or I'm going to watch this and I'm going to be like, goddamn, I gave the gimme to AJ. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, after that first round, that was really, it wasn't so solidified that I was comfortable in what was going to be happening with Robert Whittaker's fight. It was one that was so close that I was like, damn, Marvin Vettori, there you go. Marvin Vettori, he might have a chance to actually come back and feel like, oh, okay, now he's a little bit tired. Now I can actually get the takedown. But no, man, I think they made a very apt point on the broadcast when they were talking about it. If a guy like Yoel Romero, one of the greatest wrestlers to do it, can't get a takedown, or I think maybe one takedown, I forget how many he actually had on Robert Whittaker, but wasn't able to hold him down, man. What's to say a wrestler like Marvin Vettori can? Yoel Romero's in the Olympics. Marvin Vettori is as good of a wrestler as he is. Robert Whittaker actually proved that, hey man, it's a whole nother level in there. So once the second round, after the first round, I was a little on edge, a little contentious right there. But then once the second round started and I saw Bobby Knuckles shuck and Marvin Vettori off anytime he'd come in, I started getting a little bit more excited. Derek, what do you think?
Well, I'll just say this, man. We're going to have a lot to talk about when we actually do the segment on that fight specifically, but this was Robert Whittaker. Y'all must have forgot. That's what it was. I gave you the gimme. You're welcome, brother. In hindsight, I was so mad. I was like, God damn, this is like, if this is the best Vettori can do, that goes to show just how good Robert Whittaker. Not saying Vettori's bad. I'm saying that's how good Robert Whittaker is. All right, brother. Everything else, man, if you look across, Alessio de Chirico, we missed bad on that one. Roman Kopylov, man, this dude took his striking and just beat him up with the striking, man. There was no grappling involved. It felt like, this is the big thing, man. Let's be honest, Kopylov ate some bombs and walked through him. Like, the Chirico hit him with some knees, hit him with some big overhand shots. The only problem was you had a brawler versus a technician, and the technician just kind of picked apart the brawler. So now, folks, I will say this is going to be a little bit different than what you actually saw on the main card. Now, they did put the Joaquin Buckley fight on there at the last moment, way after we had already put out the show. So Nasrat Haqparast versus John Makdessi was still one of our picks, and Nasrat Haqparast, even though there was a little bit of heat on there, cruised to a victory against Makdessi. So when we said bet on youth, that was a prime example right there. Now, last couple ones. William Gomis over Jaron Errens. Brother, that was a good fight, but who would have known that the striker, the explosive striker, turned into the grappler, man, and that's how he got the job done. We'll talk about that more in a second, but were you surprised to see how the fight played out? Because I was hyping this up, man. I was watching it with my girl, and I was like, you all right, watch. This fight is going to be a banger. This dude's so explosive, and then he's over here wrestling, and I was like, oh, that's not how I saw this fight playing out. What do you think?
I was surprised, and then I remembered back to the fight that Errens lost last, and the exact same thing happened to him. He gets controlled on the bottom, throws his feet up into the closed guard, and then just sits there and doesn't really do anything with it. Same thing right here. So I was shocked. I was like, damn, Gomis getting the takedowns. But then I thought, oh, I guess he did his film research.
Yeah, I mean, pays to study, brother. Pays to study. And then lastly, brother, this is one, man, where I'm so mad at. Charles Jourdain versus Nathaniel Wood. AJ, back me up here. What did I say when I submitted my picks? I said, hey, I'm picking Jourdain, but I don't feel good about it. I might change this later. And then I ended up just sticking with Jourdain. And the reason wasn't because I don't believe in Jourdain. It's not because I don't think that he's a legitimate fighter. He's on a hell of a run, even though he's dropped 2 back-to-back. It's because I believe Nathaniel Wood is simply that good and people are asleep on the man. Now, the move up to 145 was a little questionable. Jourdain looked so much larger than him, but the speed was an apparent issue, man. Nathaniel Wood's speed, footwork, and his counters were just beautiful. So, listen, man, we're going to break it down in depth, but give me like one sentence, man. What was the shock value on there for you? What was going through your mind when you were watching the fight?
Ooh, those counters and the fact that this dude, Nathaniel Wood, is a dog and willing to walk forward regardless of the situation, man. Very impressive win. Yeah, this is a good one. This is a primetime show for Nathaniel Wood as well.
Absolutely, brother. I mean, the man from London, England, or wherever he's from, somewhere over there, man, putting on in Europe. You gotta love it. And then, so that's basically your picks, man. I went 3-3. My man AJ went 4-2, so he edged me out by 1 pick. And then, yeah, over and under is 4-2, brother. So good work, man. Stepping up back on the board. Now let's talk about these props. All right, AJ, this was a rough day for both of us, man. And, well, listen, we got to get back on track. But here's the beauty, man. Here's the real beauty of the situation. We tell you guys every single week, man, we're accountable for our picks, right? So even though we might not have picked specifically how the fight got done, there were still a lot of fights that we picked correctly. It just didn't really plan out that way. And the number one pick right there is Ciryl Gane by decision. AJ, listen, when they traded back and forth in that second round, I was like, this is perfect. And the reason why is because Ciryl Gane survived. And in my head, I said, okay, he's not a stupid fighter. He's a very intelligent fighter. He's just going to sit back and he's going to pick him apart for the rest of the fight, not even put himself in danger. Brother, we're going to talk about it. This is why I'm liking Ciryl even more now, because now he's putting himself back in the flame, even after he tasted it. It's almost like he wants to get hit like that, man. It was crazy. But we missed out on the decision prop, and he ended up getting the TKO. So while that was amazing in and of itself, it was not amazing for us. You hit on the Whittaker points, minus 135. The odds makers clearly knew what they were talking about right there, man. I clearly missed with Vettori. We both missed with Chirico. Haqparast points. I like that one. That one was a good one, man. I know it was only plus 100, brother, but I think that was a very strong hit. A lot of people were thinking some other things, but decision was the way to go. Gomis TKO. You took a risk. I took a risk. It didn't pan out. It didn't even come remotely close to panning out, AJ. This was a bad pick. I'll be upfront. This was a bad pick. I didn't go decision because I was already putting too many decisions on there, but clearly now in hindsight, I should have just rocked with my decisions, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a decision-filled night all on the main card, at least, all besides 2.
Yeah, and listen, that's why. Trust your gut, folks. Trust your gut. All right, lastly, Jourdain TKO and Jourdain on points, man. We just missed across the board. So with that being said, man, rough night on the prop, but we will be back next week. UFC 279 will be a little easier to predict. A lot of notable fighters. You know what time it is. Bloody Water Podcast, your favorite fighter's favorite fight show. And with that being said, folks, now is the time. We're going to break down the actual great fights, but we're going to ask you to do one thing for us in return. Just find the show, go to YouTube, hit up the website, Bloody Water Podcast, the home, the hub, whatever the case may be. Drop a like, subscribe, share the show with your friends. But lastly, do this one thing, because we did the shout out last week and we're going to do it again. I want you, head over to Apple Podcasts, head over to Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, rate us 5 stars, and then send it to us on social media and we'll shout you out on here. You know what the deal is. And my man AJ, he might do something special for you. I don't know. My man, he always got tricks up his sleeve, you dig? But all right, my man. Listen, let's get into the main card, brother. Let's not mince any more words. Let's get it.
Have you seen that replay, buddy? Your head was bouncing around like a pinball machine.
Time for some main card breakdown, courtesy of your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
AJ, it's safe to say that Ciryl Gane is the man. Gane is the bona fide scariest man in the heavyweight division. To do what he did to Tai Tuivasa is pretty incredible. And I'm not saying that Tai Tuivasa has turned into this, you know what I mean? This is going to be the dude who's going to win the championship, but he was on a hell of a run. Hits as hard as anybody hits. And you got to think about it like this. He's got eraser power. Ciryl Gane, he touches you. Touches. Accumulation. War of attrition, right? And this was the Derick Lewis fight all over again. So first thoughts, first impressions, brother. What was the biggest thing that stood out to you from Gane's performance at UFC Paris?
What stood out to me most, Derick, is the fact that this dude was willing to catch a couple punches, feel the power, and then sit back in the pocket and be willing to have that kind of not necessarily a dog fight, but as close to what a technician would want to be in a dog fight as, man. The fact that Ciryl Gane was willing and able to stand in the pocket, see the punches coming, defend them, block them, still get caught a couple times and not even flinch, not wince one bit, and not pull the tail and run like we were saying he was doing earlier. Man, this showed levels that Ciryl Gane is growing still, man, as that fighter. And it makes sense, 11-1. This dude's a young fighter in the UFC, and at the top level, which is crazy. So his ceiling is going to be, very, very high. Very impressed from Ciryl Gane. And we were talking the whole time where in the pre-show, like sometimes in Ciryl Gane's fights, he's a little too cautious. He'll play the pick apart game. He'll play the technician game where he's keeping you at range, blocking you off, and then staying on his bike. Man, this time the bike maybe had like a smaller lane to travel because this dude was in it for the scrap, man. That's what impressed me most about Ciryl Gane. What about you, Derick?
Well, I didn't think about this before, but I think the Paris crowd did play a large factor in this, in him going for the finish specifically. I'm not going to say that he wouldn't have done it before. He did it against Derick Lewis, right? But the difference was he said, I have to get a finish. I'm going for the finish. I want nothing but a finish right here. And the fact that he tasted in that second round, bro, I thought it was over. I thought we just saw Tai Tuivasa and this dude is about to fight for the championship. Like this was it. He gets cracked with a big one. He falls flat on his back against the cage, eats a follow-up shot, and then just stands up and is like, all right, let's fight. That, talk about impressive. Talk about holy shit, man. That was the moment of the fight right there. That could be a moment of his career if everything goes accordingly, where we look back and we say, like, that was like, for an example, Floyd Mayweather versus Shane Mosley. Sugar Shane Mosley. Sorry about that. Sugar Shane Mosley, Floyd Mayweather. Only man to legitimately, besides Maidana, legitimately like crack him early in his career where he was stumbled, had to hold on for dear life, came back, and what did he do? He picked him apart. That's what Ciryl Gane did, right? So this could be the moment of his career where you're like, holy shit, like this is that, right? So let me ask you this, man, because when it comes down to it, Ciryl Gane is becoming increasingly more dangerous of a fighter. He's getting away from the pitter-patter game. Why get away from the pitter-patter game, AJ? There's no need other than entertainment. There's literally no other need to do it. So why do it unless you're in front of your home crowd? Like if this fight took place in Hawaii, would he have done that?
I don't know. I think the crowd does add a lot of aspect to it, but at the same point, the only way besides actually getting finishes and getting wins and then being undeniable, the fastest way to track yourself is having that kind of that entertainment value. I think that's one reason why, storyline as well, but that's why we're seeing Paeta or not Michel Paeta. What's the guy fighting
Paeta.
Is it Paeta? Yeah.
It's Pereira, Paeta.
Pereira. Yeah. There you go, Pereira. That's why. But I think that's why, because such the flashy knockouts and the storyline, that's why we're seeing such a big push for him. It's the same thing for Gane. Once you can kind of have that style of that undeniable. Yeah, I've been whooping everybody's ass, but now I'm flashy, I'm explosive, I'm getting knockouts left to right, up and down. Now I feel like that's an even more way to be even more undeniable going for the title shots, if that makes sense. So I could see him in the future kind of getting more and more towards that style. But I do think I think you hit the nail on the head where the crowd and him wanting that kind of that hometown pride kind of aspect really added an extra fuel to the fire.
Well, I feel like what he's doing is he's taking like years of experience and accumulating them in such a short time. Because you kind of need that knockdown to know, oh, okay, you know what I mean? I can fight through that. Like, I still got it. He even said it. He was all like, Tuivasa knocked me out. He says, he literally said something along the lines of, he knocked me out, but I heard the crowd. I had to get back up to my feet, and I knew I had to fight. Like, there was something in that whole entire aura that brought him back to his feet, rose him from the dead like the Undertaker, man. Listen, key points to take away. Ciryl Gane, he notched 110 of 168 total strikes. Tai Tuivasa, 29 of 89. The scary part is that Tuivasa still knocked him down and only landing 29 shots. That's the scary part. Now, the hard part about watching Ciryl Gane, even though it's beautiful to watch, is that the pitter-patter style has you on edge the entire fight against a big power puncher thinking, don't get hit, please don't get hit, please don't get hit. And when he gets cracked and he still continues to fight with his hands down at his hips and he's doing his, Bon Gomis style, it's just a beautiful thing to watch. Listen, man. I was surprised Gane went for a takedown against Tuivasa, wasn't able to get it, went completely away from it, just gave him a different look, a little level change, right? Do you think that would have been part of the game plan? Like, if he could have got that takedown to just ride out like an Ngannou-esque victory, so I'll just wrestle him and I'll just do that. Because I felt like if he was able to just easily get the takedown, he wouldn't just get back up to his feet. You're not going to take a man down just to be like, I took you down and then stand up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think ride it out would have been the best thing, but because I feel like that's when the crowd would have been getting excited. So maybe looking for a ground and pound finish at the end. Maybe it could have worked out because we did see it. We did see it happen, man. I think what the big thing was that I liked about Gane, the whole approach that he had. He saw once he got cracked, once he was kind of stumbling out, he's like, all right, I got to take this guy's power, start hitting him in the bread box, start touching up that body. That was a big moment for what I saw as a transition in Gane's style, man.
Well, I disagree, man, because he's been always working the body. He always has. And the beauty is the precision, right? Because when he slaps you with the body shot, right? 30 of 40 strikes to the body. The accuracy was incredible, right? He slaps you with that liver kick. You say, ooh, you bend over. What does he do? He does like a flying, like Muay Thai style knee straight to the gut and then gives you a big digging right hand. I wish it was the left hook so he could have touched the liver again because Tai could have gone down with that right there. But no, that's always been a part of his game, man, touching up that body. That's the thing, though, is that he's smarter than us, right? Because in my head, I'm like, dude, this dude's melon is so hard, you're not going to knock him out. I didn't think to myself, oh, but that gut, I mean, that's a big target right there, man. Just target away on that, hammer away, and that's exactly what he did. It was beautiful. We already know Ciryl Gane's going to be sticking around in the title picture for a long time to come. Let's talk about the other side. What does this loss do for Tai Tuivasa? Because I think this could be a humbling loss, but I think his stock grew. You know what I mean? Everyone is like, well, Tai, he's got the heart. He's got look, he's the only man to drop Ciryl Gane. So now, even though you lost, you're still going to be sticking around in that top 5 area because who else could do that? Nobody else could even touch Ciryl Gane, really. So what do you think?
That's what I was thinking. I don't think his stock's dropping at all on this fight, man. If anything, it's growing just a little bit because of the fact that he was able to drop Ciryl Gane that one time. And stay in the fight for a lot longer than a lot of people are giving him credit for, man. Getting beat up like that and still only going out near the end of the third round. Very impressive for Tai. I don't think, like I said, I don't think his stock drops. I wouldn't say he's going to be, staying up number 3, number 4 anymore, but he'll be in that top 5 regardless. And I think for quite a while too. Hopefully this is one of those fights that teaches Tai that the brawling style is good. But if he can become a little bit more technical, a little bit more smooth in there, I think he'll get a little bit more fighting reps at least.
You just got to think, man. Derick Lewis is still in that top 6, top 7. So Ty's not going anywhere, man. And listen, he's an entertainer, and listen, he did his job. He entertained. I just think that this is gonna shoot him through the roof, man. This was huge. But Bon Gomis, he got it done, and got it done in Paris, France, brother. You could not have written a better story right there. The surprising thing, and I actually regret to mention this in the end. I should have mentioned this in the beginning. He announced that he had broken his rib 3 weeks prior to the fight. So imagine 100% Ciryl Gane in this fight. Maybe we could have got it done a little bit earlier. I'm just saying. But maybe Tai should have been targeting the body a little bit because you hit that rib one time and he's, we got a whole nother fight on our hands, baby. But huge win, Bon Gomis style, man. All right, brother. Rob Whittaker, Marvin Vettori, man, this was a clinic. This was, y'all must have forgot times 10. This was the Reaper saying, listen, man, I am the best, dangerous, the baddest man in the division aside from Izzy, and I'm still more dangerous than Izzy. I still got, I still put more fear in fighters' hearts than Izzy does. I make fighters not want to fight anymore. I'm that type of fighter. The contentment that he has, AJ, being the number one contender, knowing that there's only one man in front of him stopping him from his goals and his dreams, makes you think that talks to go to 205, that's not even remotely close. Robert Whittaker is staying at 185, and he's going to ride this thing out, man. And he's going to say, me and Izzy, we're fighting. I don't care if we got to fight 10 times. We're going to keep fighting for that title. Let me ask you, this arguably has to be one of the most impressive wins of Robert Whittaker's career. And even though it doesn't come against the most star-studded name of an opponent, Marvin Vettori isn't the star-studded name, he is the grinder. He is the workhorse. He is the man who makes everybody look kind of bad. And Robert Whittaker made him look like he was just some like number 12 ranked dude, like it was nobody's business. He shouldn't even really have been in there with him. How big was this win? Am I overcounting this, or what do you think?
Nah, Derick, this win was massive, bro. Especially because in the pre-show we were talking, or I was saying that sometimes Robert Whittaker has an ability or has a tendency to fight to the other fighter's level. This proved right here that Robert Whittaker knows at some points, man, he's got to fight to his fullest potential, and he showed up this last night and absolutely put it to Marvin Vettori. One of the big things that I was so surprised about, or like what kind of did it for me, was whenever Marvin Vettori was coming in on takedowns, shucking him off, full power, get off me. This is how we're fighting. We're here. And then he comes back and starts cracking him with combos. Big win, huge performance for Robert Whittaker on this fight, man. And this, like you said, this is y'all must have forgot, because this is prime Bobby Knuckles, man. Gonna keep things where I want to keep the fight, how I want to style this one up, and I'm gonna make this my kind of fight. This is Robert Whittaker's all day long, man. This is a very impressive win for him. And it's going to be another fighter who's going to be undeniable for that title shot once he just whoops everybody's ass that's, relegated to fight him.
And Marvin Vettori, if he can't take you down, there's one thing he's really good at, and that's holding you up against the cage. And he couldn't do either against Whittaker. That just went to show. So, is this a lesson in humbleness, AJ? Because Marvin Vettori says, I'm better than him everywhere. I'm a better striker. I'm a better wrestler. He can grapple with me. When he went to shake his hand in the ceremonial weigh-ins, he said, no, none of that. I'm going to fuck you up, whatever the case may be. And Robert Whittaker, I told you earlier, I was like, none of the trash talk is going to get to him, because he's already been against the opponents who are just belligerent in his face. And he's just like, whoa, bro, chill. You know what I mean? I just want to shake your hand. I'm going to whoop your ass on Saturday. Like, don't even trip. You know what I'm saying? Is this a lesson in humility for Marvin Vettori? Because this is one of the few times where after the fight, he was genuinely humble. And he wasn't like, no, I won that fight. I can't accept this loss, right? Like he did against Izzy. I think he respects Whittaker more. And I think he actually thinks, and this is in my opinion, I mean, who knows? But I think he thinks Whittaker is more of an elite opponent than Israel Adesanya. What do you think?
I could see where you're coming from. I think just at the end of the day, we were talking that Marvin Vettori needs to be hyped up. He needs that aggression. He needs all those stunts. And I think he was more so not really telling the press or telling Robert Whittaker that he was better than ever. He was telling himself that, trying to get himself kind of hyped up and get that going. And that's why he pulled the old, like, nah, no handshake, nah. But at the end of the day, I mean, you get your ass whooped by a dude who's still humble, still like, oh, you're good, man, don't worry. Like, you can't be mad at him. So I think that's at the end of the day why Marvin Vettori at the Izzy fight was still pissed off, still angry at the Paulo Costa fight, still, even though he got the W, still upset. And for this one, I feel like you can't be mad at the guy. One who just whooped your ass for 15 minutes, and he's still humble and still nice. It was nice the entire time and never faltered at all, where you were over here being a dick, and then now you're like, all right, yeah, that was my bad.
Yeah, I kind of felt like we needed to see Angry Marvin in there for him to have a little more success, because it felt like he wasn't going after it the way that he should have. But how can you when the karate style of Whittaker is just blitzing on you every time that you try to enter range? That was what's scary. That he really went karate mode, Whittaker, right? Because he was coming in just chilling, wow, with that right hand coming in. Right hand, head kick over the top, and Vettori ate those, bro. They were saying breaking news, you know what I mean? I'm not going to play the music, right? But it was like breaking news. It was like Diamond is no longer the world's hardest, material. Now it's Marvin Vettori. It's his head, bro, because this dude was eating shin to the dome multiple times. He ate a nasty shot literally on the top of his head, and they were even like, you can't take too many more of those, bro. Marvin Vettori has heart. He has a chin. But Robert Whittaker is the supreme fighter. And let's not get it twisted here, folks. I know I picked for Vettori, but what did I say on the pre-show? I said if this is standing, Whittaker picks this man apart. Like, it's a completely different level, and he showcased that. So that was my one hope of victory. I said if Vettori can snag a takedown, he could change the fight. He didn't come anywhere remotely close. Robert Whittaker, you are the man. It's as simple as that. And this is the big penultimate question. I guess ultimate, because penultimate would be the one before the ultimate, right? You know, this is the big overarching question. Robert Whittaker versus Israel Adesanya, when it's all said and done. If Izzy can defend against Alex Pereira, if when it's all said and done, how many of these fights do we see? Do we see 3? Do we see 4? Do we see 5? I mean, if they stick around in the division, how many do we see?
I mean, what, we've already seen 2?
We've seen 2, and Izzy got the best of them both times, but it was a lot closer in that second one.
A lot closer. I think if they both stay in the thing, I think we're going to be up here around 5, man. It's going to be the first time we see 5 people fight, or 2 guys fight 5 times, because so Izzy's got 2, Robert Whittaker gets 1. Let's say he gets the 3rd, right? You got to get the rematch. You got to get the it wouldn't be a rubber match at that point, you get, because it's 4 now, right? So let's say Robert Whittaker gets that one. You know, you got to give Izzy the final, like, all right, you're 2-2 now, guys. We got to even this one out, or now we're even. We got to fix this one. We got to, solidify it. I think we're in it for a 5. I doubt. I mean, I don't think we'll get there, because I think Izzy will probably get, number 3 or number 4. It's if Robert Whittaker does get one of them, but I don't know, man. What do you think?
Well, it's tough, because if you think about the only one that really has the merit for that many, right? So far, it's Brandon Moreno versus Davison Figueiredo, and they're going to go on 4. Right? So if they can get to 4 and something crazy happens, like let's say Brandon Moreno wins, well, now you have a case for Figueiredo being like, well, what's up? I want to fight again. Now that's 5. If that can go 5, this can go 5. I'll just say this. Whittaker's probably going to win one of those, man. You get so close. Every time you're getting closer. You're nipping on the heels. I'm just going to say that. Listen, domination win. Robert Whittaker. This was a surgical performance right there. But now let's just speed through a couple of these other ones, man, because these were some fun ones. This was a fun fight overall. Alessio Chirico versus Roman Kopylov. And one thing that we noted is that Kopylov is an incredible striker. Fantastic striker. But this is mixed martial arts, and where have his faults been? Where have been kind of the chinks in the armor been? Well, they've been in the grappling. However, when you are picking somebody apart, they don't want to grapple on you. When you go and you shoot in for a desperation takedown and you eat a knee to your chin, you start to second guess a couple of things, right? And you start to say, let me just back off and let me just start swinging for the fences. Then it turned into a technical striker like Kopylov versus a swing and bang brawler like Chirico. And AJ, I said it in the pre-show, but you got to give Kopylov some credit. Excuse me. The man has a chin. He ate some nasty shots from Chirico, walked through him, and it wasn't enough. That was kind of our entire thought process on a Chirico TKO or a decision or whatever. A little bit of grappling, a little bit of big shots, whatever. How impressed were you with this one, man? Because this is the evolution of Kopylov right here. This is Kopylov putting people on notice, saying, all the dudes Chirico has fought, Chirico is not just a name where you're just like, oh, whatever. No, you respect that name. You got to respect Roman Kopylov for sure now. And let's just take a look, man. Roman Kopylov, if we're taking a look at his ESPN record over here, you look at his last 2 losses. They were both in the UFC, right? Carl Roberson, Albert Duraev. This is the first UFC win. This is monumental. I hope that's even a word, but this is a big win for Kopylov, brother. What do you think?
It is a monumental win, Derick. This is a big win for Kopylov in a fight that's going to put him on the map. A lot of people, they didn't know who Kopylov was, man. I was talking to a couple of people at the bar last night. Nobody even thought like Kopylov was anywhere near ready to be fighting somebody like Chirico. But then showed up once the fight starts, man. He's walking through these shots. He's dipping in, man. He's getting the best of the exchanges, especially once, like you said, once the fight became a technical fighter versus a brawler instead of a mixed martial arts scrap. That's when Kopylov really started to feel comfortable, seeing his opportunities coming in, dropping big bombs left and right, man. Good combos the entire time. This was a big win for Kopylov. And not, like I said, not only just because it was against Chirico, but to show how he can fight against a multitude of other fighters, man. Once you get away from where, the grappling and kind of stuff like that, if you're forced to fight this guy in a stand-up fight, it's going to be a very challenging and long night for you. Big win for Kopylov. And I like that it actually, not only did he win in, good style, KO, 3rd round, but he was able to endure some damage, endure some, what's the word I'm looking for? Where opposition is,
Adversity?
Adversity. There we go, there. Yeah, thank you, man. He endure some adversity that the opposition was putting against him and show up and actually show out too, man. Good fight.
Absolutely, man. And you got to credit Kopylov because if you think about it, he joins Abdul Razak Al Hassan as the second man in Alessio de Chirico's MMA professional career to knock him out. So this is just what I'm saying, bro. Like, this was big time. And the fact that it was an accumulation of strikes that did it, because it really wasn't just like a one boom, oh, fuck, I'm hurt. It was like you took so much damage over so much time. You literally back against the cage, which is never where you want to be if you're Chirico. Drop your hands, eat some shots to your dome, and you just fall out. And you're like, all right, that's it. My body, I think what he mentally wanted to continue, but his body just shut down and was like, no, brother, I'm going to save you from yourself. So massive win by Roman Kopylov, man. I cannot speak highly enough about this dude, man, and how good of a win that is. But I will say, brother, you know, you said some of the people at the bar, right? This dude, who is this guy, right? What were we saying? This is a dangerous man. You better watch out. We think Chirico's overall a little bit of a better fighter, but Kopylov is a bad man. I'm just going to say that right there, man. All right, brother. Now, this was our UFC debutante fight, right? We already talked about it a little bit earlier, but William Gomis versus Jarno Errens. And this is kind of the beautiful story right here is that both of these dudes, you could tell they wanted to show out. They wanted to, right? But when you get in there, it's a little more complicated than that. William Gomis, he had the good striking, but he was kind of being too flashy. You know, that's kind of his style, right? But the flashiness was lending to these like weird entanglements where then they get clinched up and now you're in a weird spot. And then Jarno Errens is trying to throw this big throw and then he ends up getting reversed and follow through. And I'll tell you what, this was basically a good grappling display. But the big storyline of this fight specifically is I can't remember the last time a judge legitimately, not should have, but legitimately gave out a 10-10. And guess what? In that third round, when Errens had Gomis in that tight triangle, the judge gave him a 10-10. And I want to know, do you think that's merited? Do you think that, like, merit-wise, objectively, Errens deserved to have a 10-10 round in a fight where you didn't really do much, you had a dangerous submission, but you didn't complete it? So, you know.
It's weird, man, because was that triangle deep? Hella deep. And he had an option to go for the arm as well. But Dana White himself even said, you don't get points for submission attempts. You get points for submissions.
Yeah.
And that, at the end of the day, was an attempt because you saw William Gomis doing everything correctly to get out of there. So I don't think it was merited, man. The 10-10, I don't think it was merited as much as I do think you should get points for submission attempts because you're not just laying on your back taking whatever punishment's given to you. If the boss says, you know, you don't get points for submission attempts.
Well, that's kind of my whole thing, man, is that it's like you kind of took a little bit of the shine off of Gomis's, you know, his UFC debut. You took a little bit of the shine off of his win. So he's going to look back, I won on majority. But it's like, bro, but you won the fight. You won the first 2 rounds, like pretty handedly. You know what I mean? It wasn't really a question. AJ, you mentioned that Errens in his prior loss that he kind of camped out, you know, back on the ground, just closed guard and just hangs out and just chills. Do you think that this is going to be one of those big learning lessons for him to be able to kind of move forward? Because maybe if he was a little more active in his guard, maybe working for some sweeps, reversals, whatever, it could have been a different story. It just felt like Gomis, he was stronger, even though his lanky, skinny frame, man, it was just deceiving. Because Errens looked like he was a little built out. Gomis, you were just kind of like, oh, I was a little worried about the grappling. But he looked like he had the power advantage. So do you think it could have played out differently? Or maybe Gomis was just a little too powerful?
I think if Errens would have started the attempts earlier in the night, you know, the round 1, round 2, when he's getting controlled and dominated there, instead of last ditch effort, 40 seconds, because he was in that triangle for quite a long time. If he would have done that, then it would have swayed Gomis to be like, all right, this dude is dangerous on the ground. He could probably catch me with something. Let's just keep this fight standing instead of always getting the better. Because you're right, man. Gomis did have, even in when Errens was trying to get the flips and the tosses, Gomis had the power. He looked like he was just manhandling him and tossing him around, and that's what he was getting the better of the situations in. So, yeah, will this be a learning lesson for Errens? I think so.
Well, let me just give you a little bit of experience right here, man, just because this is one thing that I feel like people, they see it on TV, but you don't understand how taxing physically it is, man. It's hard to keep consistently throwing up dangerous submission attempts, especially ones that utilize your legs, like a triangle choke. And the reason why is because you got to think about it. If you have a long submission attempt as a triangle, you're squeezing your thighs, you're squeezing your legs, your calves, every part of your legs are just trying to crush this man's head, trying to be able to take away any space there so you could choke the man out. And guess what happens? If it doesn't work, you got to stand up and fight after that. and your legs are not going to work no more. Your legs is going to be done. So you got to pick and choose your spot. So I don't blame Errens, because it's the last thing you want to do, AJ, right? Be in a cage, finding another man who wants to kill you, and you got nothing there for him. You know what I mean? So it's like you got to be strategic right there. So to see how tight it was in the end, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he gassed his legs out after that. But I will say this was a big win by William Gomis, decision win. I think we got some room to grow. I definitely think we got some room to grow. But listen, man, this is fun division, man. Fun division. I will just say that. So big win. William Gomis right there. Now, AJ, brother, this is the talk of the town right here, man. This is one where it's like, this is the new player in the featherweight division, Nathaniel Wood, the prospect. And at a certain point, we have to change the nickname from the prospect, because the man is not a prospect anymore. This man is a contender, bona fide right here. He's fast. Yeah, he might be small, but he's got power, man, because he was, and the power comes in the form of precision. He was hitting Jourdain with some shots where Jourdain had to take a step back and was like, whoa there, pal. You know, we said at any time he could come forward with a flying knee. He kept trying to do those flying like jump kicks, right? But Nathaniel Wood does have a little bit of a Muay Thai acumen behind him. And what did he do a million different times? He let Jourdain punch himself into a clinch. He grabbed him and hit him with a little foot sweep, outside foot sweep, dropped him down. Now, is it a takedown? On technicality, yeah, it's a takedown. It's really more of a trip than anything else, you know what I mean? But Nathaniel Wood hit it over and over and over and over again. And it makes you wonder, Charles Jourdain in the moment, maybe his reckless style got finally used against him. This is kind of Shane Burgos over, all over again, right? You punch yourself into the grappling, then you get out grappled. What does Charles Jourdain need to do to kind of get back on that hot streak that he was on, man? Because now this is 2 in a row. The Burgos one was controversial, but now this is 2 in a row, and it doesn't matter because on paper it is what it is. Jourdain seems like he has the style to really do some damage. He's got the size and everything, but like he just didn't put it all together today. So what do you think? Is Nathaniel Wood that good, or were there just a couple mental lapses for Jourdain over at UFC Paris?
One, I think Nathaniel Wood is that good. This dude's a dog. This dude is going to be a contender, like you said, going forward in the future. What I wish for Charles Jourdain to learn is, well, a lot of the times, like you said, in the Shane Burgos fight and in this fight, for instance, as well, man, there you have that blitz pressure coming forward, all pressure, but then you get your pressure used against you. You're in a clinch, you're getting swooped. There's ways in which other people know, oh, if this dude's just going to be coming full forward, all I got to do is use his momentum against him, and either I can get the knockout and get the takedown, I can cut an angle and get to a more advantageous position. If Charles Jourdain would just learn to have that kind of a Bobby Knuckles style blitz that we saw in the Robert Whittaker fight, or even in Stephen Thompson, any of the good karate guys where they do have that blitz, the most important part of that is always getting out as well. So timing it, getting in, hit him up with a big combo, hit him with that flying kick you like to do, and then jump right back out. So that way you're not putting yourself in that clinch position, using, letting the other guy use your momentum against you. You're actually able to dictate distance, dictate pace, and then start really working these attempts that because the other guy doesn't know if you're going to be coming in or out. You're flying in, hitting all these punches. He's looking to grab you, whatever the case is, and then you're out of the distance now. Now his hands are out. He's looking for stuff, and then you're able to tee him up again. I think that's the biggest thing that is missing from Charles Jourdain's fighting style is that exit strategy, that bounce back, that give me some distance so I can now again work my moves. Because if that's the case, he does have that. Nobody's grabbing him. Nobody's clinching him up. They're not using the foot sweeps. They're not doing any of that kind of instance, and he's able to be a little bit more flashy. Now, that being said, that's one of the most difficult things is once you're already in, you're pushing the pace, you're going in, to take that step back and have that timing step, that distance step. Very, very difficult, but I think if Charles Jourdain learns that, man, he's going to be very, very dangerous in that. But again, like you said, or like we were saying, Nathaniel Wood is that good, man. He is that dangerous in there, and he does get a lot of the credit for this fight because, man, you're not luckily landing 128 total strikes, 97 significant strikes. That's not luck. That's this dude being a dog and getting in there and outstriking the impressive nature of Charles Jourdain.
Yeah, and this is also a testament that you don't have to, cut 20, 25, 30 pounds to be successful in the UFC, right? You can fight at a more natural weight class, and seeing that Nathaniel Wood is doing that, it kind of just makes you wonder, because Charles Jourdain, he isn't the biggest featherweight either, right? You know what I mean? And if Nathaniel Wood was able to do this against him, It's like, okay, let's see what you can do against the big featherweights, right? The big boys. You know what I mean? Let's see a Calvin Kattar, right? I'm not saying he's ready for that yet, but like, you know, the big featherweights where you're like, you guys are another breed right here. Either way, this is a huge win by Nathaniel Wood. I'm just mad that I didn't go with my gut right here. You know what I mean? Because that would have been a dub on the board for me. But Charles Jourdain, that's how good Charles Jourdain is. He makes you second guess yourself. He makes you be like, but this is Jourdain, man. Jourdain, you know he can pull it off. So big win by the prospect, soon to be contender. Well, is contender, but we got to get a nickname switch. You know what time it is. All right, AJ. And this one, it was on the prelims, but we're going to cover it because we broke it down in the main card, and we're just going to go over it one more time, man. Nasrat Haqparast versus John Makdessi. He squeaks out a decision win. Didn't even squeak it out, man. This was pretty one-sided, right, in favor of Haqparast. Now, AJ, man, there was some bad blood, right? Former training partners. This is one thing that kind of puzzled me, man. UFC Paris, right? All the UFC events, you got security, right? You get hired as a security guard, right? And you're in the cage and you're doing your security, you're doing your job, right? And then the fighters get in front of each other, and then all of a sudden you're so entertained, you just forget that like your job is to not let that happen. You know what I mean? Because this was multiple times. This happened in the Makdessi Haqparast fight. This also happened in, what was the other one? What was the one where they were going back and forth? It was Imavov versus Buckley. Where like, bro, it would be like you're on top of them, and then you stand up, and then you know they cut to commercial because ESPN is fucking so money hungry. They got to cut. They can't just let us see what happened. And you're standing over them, and you just what's up? You know what I mean? Like I ain't moving. You know what I mean? I might get teabagged. You know, and security ain't doing a damn thing. Was that a little troubling to you?
I mean, it's funny because it really is. They're fighting the whole time. So as security, you're sitting there watching like, oh, this is entertaining. Oh shit, it's time for me to do my job. Oh shit. It really is a thing, man. It is a little bit troubling because it's one of those ones where you can very easily get out of hand, and then we're in a whole, Khabib Conor situation. Luckily, that doesn't happen too often, but it can happen pretty quick and faster than you think.
Absolutely, man. And listen, the story of this fight, this was striker versus striker, right? Haqparast, he said I'm a better grappler, and he actually showed it a little bit to kind of squeak out a win here. Now, even though it was 30-27 times 2, 29-28, Makdessi did outstrike Haqparast. He threw more than Haqparast. Haqparast, I think he was just a little more sharp, man. It was pure boxing versus an MMA fighter, right? And the pure boxer pretty much won. And then, when he caught Makdessi, when you were like, oh, okay, Haqparast started to slow down in that third round, Makdessi was coming forward. He says, oh, you're going to come forward? I'm going to let you throw. Duck right underneath, grab the double. He did it a couple of times, right? 3 takedown attempts. He landed 2 of them. This was overall just a pretty much of a clinic of a performance. A good win to get Haqparast back on track. But you got to ask yourself, if you're John Makdessi, you're 18-8, you're 37 years old, are we seeing any more of John Makdessi here?
I think he fights out his contract. I think that's the big thing for this one, man. I think Makdessi fights out his contract. And unless he goes on, and I don't know how many fights he has left on his contract, but unless he goes on a 2-fight winning streak after this, I don't really think so, man.
So for Haqparast, man, what are your thoughts? Just give me the vibe, the feel. After this win, are you feeling hopeful? Or are you feeling optimistic? Or are you feeling like, oh, man, this was Makdessi. This was kind of like a layup for you. Not a layup, don't get me wrong, no disrespect, but this was like a winnable fight for you. Maybe you should have performed a little bit better. Yeah, you won the fight handedly, right? But I would have liked to see a little bit more. That made me be like, oh, yeah, that Haqparast, he's back. You know what I'm saying? I didn't feel that in this fight. So how are you feeling? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I don't think this was one of the fights that really like made a stake. Haqparast putting his stake in the ground, claim this is my territory. Nobody's coming across this line. This is more of okay, I can get better. Yeah, I won the fight. Now I have some improvements to do, because this isn't a win that's going to make everybody be like, damn, Haqparast is the dog now. This is more of a one like, okay, he's getting back. He's kind of coming back into it. He's learning some stuff. He has a little bit more room to grow. If you would have gotten a finish or got a very, very dominant decision win, then, because you're right, this was one side, not completely one-sided, but more of a one-sided fight than not. I was surprised by the 29-28 when I saw it. I was like, okay, I mean, I guess every judge has to. I feel like they're like, they tell them like you have to give at least one person has to give him 1 round or something like that, because I saw it, I was like, okay, I mean, I guess. But if Haqparast would have had an amazing performance, then we'd be saying that, but not really with this one. This is more of a path to grow than anything.
And we'll leave it right there. Path to go for Nasrat Haqparast, back on track, and let's get another one on the board and see where we're going from there. So, folks, that's your main card right there, UFC Paris. It was a fun show, right? Prelims delivered a little bit better than the main card, you know what I'm saying? But listen, It was a great night of fights, man. I'll just say that. And with that being said, AJ, man, let's just hit a couple of these prelim fights. Benoit Saint-Denis versus Gabriel Miranda, man. Talk about a fun fight. I set it up, right? I think for my sleeper, I delivered as far as you can deliver, right? Scrambles, you had jiu-jitsu, you had kickboxing. It was a barn burner. I mean, Benoit Saint-Denis, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. This dude is going to be a problem. This dude is a title contender. Not right now. Give him a couple more fights against some better opposition, man. This dude is an issue, bro. Like, do you feel me, or do you think this is another one of those we're reaching?
No, man, but no, Benoit Saint-Denis is going to be an issue, especially once we start seeing him against some really high-level fighters. Once they start really pushing this, man, Benoit Saint-Denis is going to be, a very dangerous opponent in the future. Very excited to see where he goes after this one.
Absolutely, man. Do you think Stephanie Egger, do you think that she had her comeuppance? Do you think that she made up for the ghost tap against Mayra Bueno Silva against Eileen Perez, man? Because I'll tell you what, it kind of felt to me just a little bit, just a tiny bit, right? Like Perez, she showed up to take part. You know what I mean? She's like, I just want to be part of this, right? Because Stephanie Egger, what did she do? She hit her with the class. It feels like this is a women's MMA staple, man. That head and arm throw. Time and time again, man. Scarf hold, hanging out, second round, rear naked choke. It's over. And then Eileen Perez is happy, smiling, and raises her hand in victory after she lost, man. So at least she took it well-spirited. I'll tell you what, man. It was World Masters and Jiu-Jitsu Con here in Vegas over the weekend. And a lot of people just at these tournaments, when they lose, man, at a little 3-minute Jiu-Jitsu, they not taking it, very happily, right? So it seemed like the result didn't impact her that much, but she was just happy to be there. So what do you think?
I agree with you entirely. It seemed like she was just excited to be on the big stage. Finally, man, she's realized her dreams of fighting in the UFC, and that's kind of the biggest, event for her. Even if you're getting tapped out, it's all good because you're getting show money at least, and you're on the stage, you're on the big performance. And this wasn't a big fight for Egger either. This was kind of a one that she needed. It wasn't like this was like, gonna make or break her career. Interesting setup for the entire fight for those two.
Yeah. Let me ask you real quick, man. We touched on it earlier. What are the heights? How good in the middleweight division can this man Abus Magomedov be? He's like, I already know how to beat Ciryl Gane, man. I'm going to wrestle the shit out of him. He can't stop me. You know what I mean? Dude got serious power, but listen, brother, you threw 7 strikes. 7 of 7, so it's perfect. You know what I mean? 7 strikes, UFC debut. It's a knockout artist, but how far can we go?
Ooh, I mean, he's calling for the highest of the highs. I want to see a couple more, but I mean, a lot of people in the locker room are talking that this dude, Magomedov, is the real deal, man. And not only really, really good at grappling, obviously comes with the Magomedov name. He's from Russia, but he claims Germany as his home. So he's got some really solid kickboxing as well. I'm interested to see, not calling he's going to be the champ right now, but I do think he'll be a contender in the near future.
Now, you remember I had said, hey, you fighting a dude named Magomedov, it's never a good prospect for you, right? And like I said, it was some jest, but I'm not joking when I say that. I think literally MMA dudes with the name Magomedov in their name have a combined record of a ridiculous amount of wins and a handful of losses. I'm not even joking right there. You can go and look it up, folks. Don't fight these Magomedov dudes, man. They're good. It's as simple as that. All right, AJ. I think that pretty much wraps it, man. For Ozzy, he also had a really good performance against Michael Figlock. It was a decision win, kind of grinder win. He grinded it out 30-27 times 2, 29-28. Other than that, that's basically the fights right there. Christian Quinones, he had the precision. He got the knockout against Khalid Taha. Your sleeper delivered in full. Folks, listen, that's why you come to us, because we do it for you. If you look at the prelims, you look at the most egregious, banger fights, aside from that walk-off by Magomedov, man, we hit the 2 big fights on the prelim, so you're welcome. I'll just say that. All right, my man, let's jump into a little bit of a ranking review, my man. And I think today, it's hard to know who to talk about necessarily, right? But I think that we should take a little bit of a dive into the middleweight division, brother. And I think that that dive comes in the form of taking just a look at the landscape. Now, you will see, this is the current UFC rankings right now, right? They're going to update it on Tuesday with Whittaker's big win. We see Robert Whittaker at number 1 across the board for all of us right here. And I think that the middleweight division is in a peculiar spot because look at it. You got Israel Adesanya champion. He already beat Robert Whittaker. He beat Jared Cannonier. He beat Marvin Vettori. He beat Derek Brunson. He beat Paulo Costa. Has he fought Jack Hermanson? I don't think he's fought him yet. So basically, but look, okay, first off, Is that not incredible? Like, we're just you look at number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. He beat all of them. Alex Pereira is the only guy he hasn't beat yet. And this is the big storyline, right? But I kind of feel, AJ, and this is just my thing. I could be wrong, right? Don't you think Alex Pereira, instead of getting just a straight shot to the title, maybe he should have fought Robert Whittaker? And then be like, if you could beat Whittaker, then you get to fight Izzy, right? Because it feels like now Whittaker is in no man's land. Because you lost to Izzy twice. If you're Robert Whittaker, you beat Jared Cannonier, Marvin Vettori, Derek Brunson, and he hasn't fought Paulo Costa yet. But yeah, you basically beat everybody in the top 4. You got Champ A and Champ B, basically, brother. I mean, do you think that Pereira should have fought Whittaker first?
I think so. And I think if Robert Whittaker was smart, that's what he would have said. He's like, nah, bro. You don't get straight to the title. You got to fight me first. I think that would have been a smart move for Whittaker. Because I don't know if you're Israel Adesanya, you don't, because I remember there was who was it? There's been a couple champs that have said, no, you gotta fight your way up until you get me. There's been the Nigerian Nightmare. Why can't I remember Kamaru Usman's name? When Kamaru Usman was even saying the same thing, he was like, nah, man, you got to fight your way up. You don't get right to the champ. You got to let my other, you got to go through some things. I think if Robert Whittaker would have said that, said, nah, this is my stake in the ground, bro. You got to come fight me. I think it would have been a little bit better, because I think that would have been the fight to make, man, to really see like, oh, okay, you got past Bobby Knuckles. All right, you're the real deal, man. Then you get the champ.
Where does Derek Brunson fit in this equation, AJ? Because he was like on the brink of retirement, and then he's like, nah, I'm coming back. I'm going to fight. Where does Derek Brunson land in here? Because we do know Derek Brunson, you line him up against the right dude, he's taking you down and you're not winning that fight. You know what I'm saying? So do you think that at this point there should be another person? Because I'll tell you my dark horse, not really a dark horse because everybody knows about this guy, who needs to be in this top 6 equation very soon, Andre Muniz. That's a dangerous man. That's a man where he can give some people some problems. Look at Nasruddin Imavov, right? Look at what he did to Joaquin Buckley. Joaquin Buckley, if he touches you, man, it's lights out. He touched Imavov a bunch of times, and there was nothing really there. No danger, really. So what do you think, man?
That's an interesting one, because I would like to see that that fight, too, with Derek Brunson. It's interesting because Derek Brunson isn't a fighter that a lot of people are, intimidated by or scared of or even looking to fight, because they don't. I feel like they don't think Derek Brunson does enough for them, for their stock, to really push them up going forward. He's just another name on the hit list more than anything. But I would like to see the Muniz versus Derek Brunson fight, because then that really gives Muniz some time to be like, oh, bro, I just beat the top 4. I just beat the top 5 opponent right now. I need to get up there. Need to fight the Whittakers, the Vettoris, the Cannoniers, those guys. That way, that'd be an interesting one.
I think it's very clear, man. Like I said, it's Champ A and Champ B. Israel Adesanya, Robert Whittaker. Everybody else, I don't think they're coming anywhere close. Look at Cannonier, man. Didn't really come close to Whittaker. Didn't really come close to Adesanya. I mean, you look at Vettori at this point, man. I mean, listen, Vettori's still young, so he's got a lot of promise ahead of him. But that is your 60 seconds rankings review. Middleweight division in a very peculiar spot these days. And AJ, man, I don't got any word on the street, not today. You know what I'm saying? There hasn't been a lot of UFC action, especially because we had that week off. But my man, we got a banger card next week. And we're back to pay-per-view, folks, already so quick, right? And AJ, man, like, I'm going to give you, and I might eat my words right now, especially because I am from Modesto, California. I am from the 209 area code, right? I grew up on the Diaz brothers. But AJ, it's like you either, what is the phrase? You're a hero until you live long enough and you become the villain or some shit like that. Something, what is Batman, Bane, whatever. I think Diaz is going to get the brakes beaten off of him by Chimaev. I think this is not going to be fun. This is going to be one of those where it's like a car crash that's so bad you can't help but watch. Do you agree?
I agree, Derick, man. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain, is the saying. And I'm looking at the opening odds right now. Minus 1,100 for Chimaev does not look good for the plus 700 comeback for our boy Diaz. And as much as I am a Diaz fan on this one, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to bet with him on this one, man.
I mean, you might just have an extra $5 you find in the couch cushions that you just throw on Diaz just to pay your respects and pay your honors, you know what I mean? But Chimaev should probably easily handle this man. The question is, in what fashion will he do it? Will he play with him? Will he say, I want to toy with you for a little bit because, you know what I mean? I want to make a statement, or does he get him out of there early? Or what if Diaz pulls a Conor McGregor, you know, all over again? And I'm not surprised, you know? I don't know, man. But this is going to be a fun card right here, my man. Back to pay-per-view, UFC 279, brother, in the T-Mobile Arena. So that's definitely going to be fun. AJ, man, if Diaz loses, is this it? I mean, obviously, he's fighting out his contract right here. This is it for the UFC. But, like, is this it?
I think so, man. Unfortunately, I think this, if he loses, what else do you really have? Because he's always a money fight. That's the thing. He's always a money fight. But are people going to be like, well, yeah, it's nice, and I like to reminisce about it because he has a lot of loyal fan bases out there, which is the thing. Unfortunately, though, I mean, it's one of those things where you don't want to see people get beat up all the time when they're your idols. It's rough.
Can I tell you, man, at UFC 266, right, when it was Nick Diaz fighting Robbie Lawler, so I was there, right, and I cannot tell you how en masse the Diaz fans were. I cannot even explain to you, brother. I'm like, they're on the brink of delusion because they were talking about him like he was fighting like this was 2005 or something, bro. You know what I mean? I was like, yo, you do realize, right? He's fighting Robbie Lawler, who's still active, who's like fighting young guns, who's like beating people up. Like you realize that, right? And what happened? Robbie Lawler puts it on his ass. I mean, come on, right? So I think it's going to be the same thing in force. Like, the fans are going to be out in force. They're going to be delusional. They're going to be heartbroken when he loses, but it's like, come on, brother. Come on, you know. Listen, folks, great show as always. Make sure you give my man AJ a follow on Twitch, twitch.tv/Santa Fe Bomber. My man is taking over the streaming duties here for the Bloody Water podcast. So if you want fight breakdowns in depth, right, we can ask my man some questions, all that. If you want, fight companions, right, we're going to get all that stuff up and running here in the near future. But my man, and you want some game? You want some Escape from Tarkov? You know what I mean? Come on. Still, every week I'm gonna get like 1% like more knowledgeable about what this game actually is, right? But at the end of the day, man, it sounds interesting. It's like Call of Duty, I guess, right? Go hit him on, man. AJ, give the people some last words.
Man, yeah, like Derick said, man, you see the titles on the bottom, the screen links, man. Go hit us up on Twitch, go hit us up on Instagram. Make sure, like Derick said in the beginning of the show, go give us a 5-star rating on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever it is. Let us know on social media so that way we can give you all a shout out as well. We can give it to the loyal fans, the people who are supporting us the most, the people that we love and appreciate, man. Let us know that you're out there coming in droves. And if you are stopping by the stream, make sure you drop in the chat so that way I actually know who y'all are sitting there. We can get a little talk going, man. That's the best way to get the actual knowledge going is by communication. But either way, man, it's going to be fun. And like Derick said, I'm going to be doing a lot of the fight companions, the streaming, the breakdown. So make sure you jump in. Go hit us up. It's going to be a great week for the fight cards this next week, man. It's going to be a lot of fun to break down these fights.
You already know what time it is, folks. We couldn't have said it better. Hey, that's it for us, folks. Until next time, we'll do it again on Friday for the pre-show. UFC 279. I can't wait. All right, folks. That's it. Until next time. Peace.